What, you're not gonna let me in either? Oh, somebody screwed up, didn't they? This is a work thing and that invitation wasn't for me.
I'm afraid not.
I appreciate your honesty.
Hey, welcome to the Quantum Leap podcast. Tonight on the show, I'm really excited to have with me Karissa Lee Staples. Karissa, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Karissa, you may remember, played Jamie Farmer in the recent episode Fellow Travellers. So we're going to get into that in a bit. But perhaps firstly, you could tell me a little bit about your background, because I know you were Miss Maine about 15 years ago. And then ever since then, you seem to have been everywhere. Your career's just exploded. So what happened? Can you take me through all that and what's got you here today?
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Maine, and the only creative outlet that I had was to do community theater, and I just wanted to get on stage and get my training and experience. And when I graduated high school, I didn't really know what else to do. I wanted to study at college, but the Miss Maine opportunity presented itself, and I figured maybe this could be my way out of town. And through that year, as Miss Maine, I made a lot of connections. I got my first manager. I was able to move to New York City and train and study acting, but also start going out and auditioning. So that was kind of like the springboard for my career. And after that, I would just say luck meets preparation and opportunity. I found my way to Los Angeles, got new representation, and got on a show, which opened another door for me. And I've been working pretty steadily ever since, which I'm very grateful for.
Yeah, steadily is one way of putting it. As I say, it's you seem to have been everywhere constantly, and a lot of voice work as well. Was that something that you? Obviously, acting's your first love. You clearly had a goal there. Was voice acting something you ever expected to get into, or did that just drop into your lap?
It's that world is very funny. One of my first agents out here was a voiceover agent, and I auditioned hundreds of times. I went to the studio and recorded in their booth, and I never worked. I could never book anything. It's a very tough world to be a part of, and I don't know how I got the opportunity, but a studio in Burbank reached out to me, and they said, "Hey, we have a video game. Will you be the voice?" I can't remember what that first one was. It was probably additional voices or something. And then ever since, that studio has asked me back several times. I don't have a voiceover agent, so it was just now I don't. But it was just a relationship that I built with this particular company, and that's how I was able to, I don't know, voice some video games. And I went in one day for, I would say, four hours, maybe a couple days in a row for 4 hours at a time, and it was very non-disclosure. And I didn't realize it was the Disney Kingdom Hearts video game. They didn't tell me anything until after it was released. I had no idea what I was seeing on the screen. It was very strange.
Oh,
and,
wow!
I didn't realize that was kind of a big deal.
How do you get into
I
a
guess they had
character
to keep
like
me
that,
in the
or
dark.
characters like that, without knowing the background? That's amazing.
All I was just focusing on was I was dubbing the I don't know if it was a Japanese version or something.
All right,
I'm
yeah,
not quite
okay.
sure. Yeah, so what I had to do was listen to the voice and then kind of just recreate it in English. And I mean, that was really my only focus. I had to listen to the tone of the voice, the pitch, and kind of recreate that in the English version. But yeah, I'm not a video game person. I had no idea, but it's fun. I love being in the booth. I love doing different voices. I grew up singing as well. I wanted to do musical theater initially. So using my voice as a tool has been is very familiar to me.
The fact that you were a singer, that's something I definitely wanted to come back to later on, because I know obviously your character in Quantum Leap sung. So yeah, maybe we can talk a bit about Quantum Leap then. How did that role come about?
I was back in September, I was shooting a guest star on Magnum PI, and I was out in Hawaii for a week. And then I got the audition, and obviously everything is self-tapes these days. And fortunately, my boyfriend was visiting me at the time, and we carved out a couple hours and shifted things in our hotel room, and he threw me on tape and he coached me for it. He's a wonderful coach as well. But yeah, I did a self-tape audition in my hotel room in Hawaii. Um, and yeah, and then I got the call, which was awesome. It's nice because it feels like in this industry, work begets work, and once you get the ball rolling, you start to be in the flow a little bit more. So I was very grateful to be on a job and then have another job to look forward to.
A lot of what we hear about the audition process for Quantum Leap particularly is just how fast paced everything is. Did you find you had that experience as well? What was the kind of turnaround time for you from that moment in the hotel room to actually being there on set?
Yeah, I don't remember specifically. I'm pretty sure I had maybe about a week from the time I got the role to the time I was on set. But in that time, I'm filling out paperwork and getting wardrobe there, my measurements, and yeah, there's a lot to, like, before you actually arrive on set. There's a lot that needs to get done, and then all of a sudden I'm on set, and I remember only having like a day to really watch a couple episodes and get the tone of the show and the pace and everything. So it is a whirlwind, and network television moves very quickly. A couple shows that I've been on, I'm in and out sometimes in a couple hours. Um, but yeah, you just have to be prepared for anything, kind of go with the flow and on the fly.
And that's amazing. That's something that hadn't struck me because we've been speaking to guest performers right from the start of the show. I think you're the first person that said to me, "Oh, I was able to watch some episodes as part of preparation." Just by nature of the fact that everyone else we've spoken to, they were in it before it even started airing. So was that particularly helpful for you to get the tone right? And what did you make of the show?
Oh, I have to I have to admit I didn't realize it was a show before. It was um yeah, back on air. So I had no idea until everyone kept saying, "Oh, I was a fan of the original show," and I was like, "Oh crap! If I don't do my research now, I'm really going to be in the dark." So yeah, I pulled up a couple episodes, and it's true, you have to kind of know the pace, and I didn't realize how quickly it moves. It's like boom, 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 boom. Um, and the style of acting, and there's what I love about Quantum is that there's a comedic flair to it, and that's fun to know that you can not take everything so seriously. And yeah, it's just to go on a set and not know the show at all would be terrifying for me. So um yeah, it was fun. Watch a couple episodes and all right, I'm ready to jump into that world. And of course, every episode is a different decade, so there are new surprises there. But once you're in the costume and the character and you're doing it, and you have great direction. We had an awesome director, David Grossman. Yeah, everything kind of falls into place. It's fun.
Yeah, so you mentioned going onto set without any preparation or any kind of knowledge of it would be scary. But of course, a lot of the guest stars on that, or all the guest stars on that episode, like Deborah, were also new to it. How did that affect things? The fact that I guess the only main characters you really interacted with being Raymond and I guess to an extent Caitlin. Did you what was the atmosphere like there on set with everyone going through that same motion together?
I just realized as soon as I got there that they're in their first season. Everyone loves their job, so already there's good energy on set. Um, I don't know if I'll get in trouble for saying this, but Deborah pulled me aside. She didn't pull me aside. I sat next to her while we were watching Raymond, and Caitlin do their little scene in the lobby. And she turns to me and she goes, "Have you ever done network television before?" And I didn't know where she was getting at. And I was like, yeah, a little bit. Yeah, it's so much fun, isn't it? And she goes, they move so fast. I'm so used to, I mean, she wasn't complaining by any means, but she's like, I'm so used to being able to really sit with the director and do multiple takes and talk about the character and the objective of the scene. And it's much, she's used to working in an environment that has the time to really um perfect every take, every performance, every scene. And so I think she was a little taken aback by it. But my experience is that I've done a lot of TV movies, like Lifetime movies, and we shoot those in 10 to 15 days. So um, the pace was normal, I guess, for me, to only have a take or two. But yeah, creatively, as an actor, you could always be like, hey, well, I wish I had more time to get that take right. But excitement wise, the energy stays up when it's like, all right, go, go, go. So it's a blessing and a curse. But yeah, everyone, even Deborah she's a true professional. I just looked at her in awe, and I mean, she is a class act, and she is very, very talented. And it just goes to show that she is capable of doing anything. So it was really cool to work with her and see how she worked, as well as Raymond and Caitlin.
And this was, you talk about the pace, this was an 8-day shoot, right?
Yep, I believe so. Yeah.
Did you have much time to work with Deborah on kind of getting the preparation right for the character? Because I know you spoke about the fact there's a bit of a comedic flair, but your character in particular goes to some quite deep emotional places. It's a tough role. So did you and Deborah work much together on that?
We didn't. I think, and I've experienced this many times before. I think when you have to work with someone and you have a relationship with them on screen, the main thing has been just getting to know each other off camera and building a bond. And I think she really took the time to kind of get to know me and talk to me, and I, as well as her, getting to know her. And so there was that level of closeness that we were able to bring onto the screen just by her being a beautiful soul and just being open to me. Um, and so that was like easily manageable. But I'm fortunate that I have an older sister, and there have been times in our past where our relationship has been strained. So um, the character Jamie was pretty darn relatable for me. And Deborah always gave me 100%. And I hope that I gave her 100%. And that just, I felt like there was a lot of magic there between us. So I was very fortunate to have clicked with her right away.
Hmm. Oh, I'm sorry to hear it came from such a personal place, but it definitely it showed. It was a great performance, and it was very, very believable and very easy to relate to as an audience member as well. Going back a little bit, you mentioned that you've got a background in singing. Obviously, there's that wonderful moment at the end where the two of you do a duet. I think I'm right in thinking that was dubbed over. That's not your voices. Is that right?
It was dubbed over.
It was dubbed.
Yeah.
It looked very believable. Do you
Good.
think it helps the fact, because I know I can't sing and I also can't mime, so I kind of assume the two go hand in hand.
I guess when we were filming it, we were in a way singing, and they just didn't have our mics on. So it was easier to kind of follow along. And Deborah and I had our headphones in any chance we got, because we got the song a couple days before, and we were playing it over and over again. And do you get the high part? Do I get the low part? Because I wonder if that'll change, the way
Wow.
we dub it come time. So we talked about that a lot. And yeah, for us both, I think, not to speak for her, but I think we both, were just listening to that song over and over and over and over again, so that by the time we were on stage and we shot it, we were singing, but obviously they cut it out, but it felt real. That was the only way to do it. I think it would feel very strange not having anything come out of my mouth during filming. I don't think it would have worked the same. I mean, mind you, my pipes are pretty rusty. It's been a long time since I've been a singer, so I'm actually grateful that someone else sang those songs.
Yeah. The fact that you're able to have those discussions about, who takes which bits, and the kind of things that a non-singer probably wouldn't even consider, and those are kind of things that probably make it more believable and sold it in the end.
Yeah.
Just want to go back a little bit in terms of that preparation. How do you prepare as an actress in terms of the fact that Jamie is a red herring for a good amount of it, and you're trying to give across this impression to the audience that you probably are the killer, even though you know you're not, just enough to be able to string them along to the point where it's believable. What kind of extra challenges does that present?
There is obviously a fine line between, playing it innocently or playing it with a little too much edge. It could have gone either way. Luckily, the direction was very helpful. For me, was pretty straightforward. If my character had a little bit of edge to her, but also some genuinity, and that's really the fine line that I was dancing, that I would think that it would speak for itself. And I tried to, it's very difficult to show that you've had a dark past, but you've changed. And I think that was like my biggest thing, was that, when I see Raymond for the first time, I am a little ticked off. And you see that, okay, she's a little snarky, she's a little spicy. But those moments when I talk about my sister can be very genuine. And I love that the show itself, the script itself kind of made you think, without my help, made you think, oh, it's Jamie. Oh, it's not Jamie. Oh, it's, there was definitely help between, the other characters as far as figuring out whether or not I was the killer. But even I forgot a lot of it. So when I watched it, I was like, ooh, he's the guy. No, I was following along as well. So, I just made some choices and stuck to them, and they seemed to work. So
how was the experience of watching it? It's so rare that we get to speak to somebody after the episode's aired. Usually we're speaking to them up front. So what was it like actually sitting down and watching it last week? Any surprises?
It was actually, usually when I watch something of mine, I'm alone and I get to just see it and kind of critique myself. But in this case, I was on vacation at my boyfriend's family's home, and they were like, all right, they had a whole viewing party, and I was my heart was beating the whole time. And the support was so lovely, but it's really not how I watch my things for the first time. But I have to say, having that group of people there cheering me on was really exciting. And I got to see it in a different way. It was, I'm surprised at how quickly everything moved. Even though I was familiar with the other episodes that I had watched, but it was definitely fast paced and exciting. And I love the editing and I love the music. And I got to see a lot of Deborah. The biggest surprise, I guess, for me was seeing Deborah's performance. And I was just obviously blown away by her, and how wonderful Raymond is at very subtle comedy. He's just like, there were times where I just laughed out loud, and it's like he doesn't even have to try. So I really just watched and observed everyone's performances, mostly because I guess I was looking at it through the lens of maybe critiquing myself. So I saw the other characters that way, and I'm really just I'm impressed, and it's a great show. I'm so happy to be a part of it, a tiny part of it.
Just looking back then overall to your time on Quantum Leap, what would be your kind of your key memory or takeaway that you'd walk away from it with?
I think it's my key memory would be there were moments throughout the shoot when I would just be standing there, maybe in the wings at the theater, or even on stage, just kind of looking out and thinking, wow, I'm just so grateful to be here. I think I had multiple moments during that show where it's kind of like even though I've been working a lot, I just had so many pinch me moments. Um, yeah, I think because it seems like it is a big production, and to just be standing there and respected and feel welcomed by people, even though I'm just kind of essentially passing through. Uh, yeah, there's just a lot of moments of gratitude. Um, I mean, I feel that way about everything I do, but yeah, getting to step into a character in the 1970s, I mean, that's not something that I've ever done. And so there were a lot of firsts for me singing as a character, my character singing, that was new. Yeah, yeah. I mean, overall, it was just it was a pinch me experience.
Oh, so good to hear. I think that probably wraps up everything on Quantum Leap. As we've spoken about, you've already seem to have done everything in the last 10 or 15 years, but I'm sure you've got a lot coming up as well. Can you share any productions that you've got in the pipeline that we can look out for?
Yeah, I'm on SWAT. I play the wife of uh, David Lim's character, Victor Tan, and I'll be returning this season. I believe my first episode back is January 27th, so that's coming up in a couple of weeks, and new stuff goes down, so there's a little twist in there, that hopefully, I'm just curious how people are going to respond to it. And like I said, I was shooting Magnum PI when I got Quantum Leap, and that is actually not airing until I think 19th. It's a Sunday night, February 19th on NBC. So yeah, I'll be in the season 5 premiere of Magnum PI, and another SWAT episode down the road. So we'll see how, the story unfolds there. But yeah, lots to look forward to.
Fantastic. So yeah, loads of places for the fans to find you. Well, Karissa, all that leaves is for me to say thank you for your time. Thank you for being so generous with your time. And we really appreciate you being on the show.
Of course. And again, thank you so much for having me. This was a lovely conversation. I appreciate it.
Thanks.